we're making lemon pound cake. I'm actually adding a half a cup of coconut to my pound cake. So if you like lemon coconut pound cake, you can do that too. We're using a 9.5 by 5.5 inch loaf pan. I've generously greased mine with shortening, and then I've sprinkled flour in here. No baking sprays for pound cakes. Our next step is to cream together our butter and our sugar. We're using 1 1/3 cups of granulated sugar. And we're using 3/4 of a cup of butter, softened butter. So that's 1.5 sticks of butter. Now we're going to use our hand mixer and we're going to cream this together. After you mix this a little, it's good to take a spatula and kind of mash that sugar and butter together. That makes it a little faster and it prevents those big clumps from flying out of your bowl all over your kitchen. Now we're just starting to get that butter incorporated with the sugar. So we're going to mix this on medium for about 2 or 3 minutes. I come back with a spatula and mash it together again just to get all that sugar and butter well combined. This is the making of a wonderful pound cake. Now we mix in 3 eggs. And 1 tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. I love this recipe because it is so lemony. And let's mix this. Look at that beautiful lemony color. Now you see that texture? Absolutely beautiful, and it already smells so good. Now all we're going to do is add the rest of our ingredients, including 1/2 cup of sour cream, 2 teaspoons of lemon zest. This is the zest from 1 fresh lemon. Let's fold this. And now for our dry ingredients, we need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Whisk these 3 ingredients and into our beautiful lemony colored mixture. And now mixing this only takes about 30 seconds. I'm going to scrape the sides and the bottom of this bowl. So don't overmix this. It doesn't take even, 35 or 40 seconds to blend those dry ingredients in. All right. I'm adding 1/2 cup of coconut because I love coconut and I love lemon. And I'm using sweetened coconut. I'm using a 9.5 by 5.5 inch loaf pan, and it's well greased. I toss in about 2 tablespoons of flour, shake that around, and get the sides, all the sides covered. The proper way to bake a pound cake is to grease and flour your pan. And I actually did a short video for one of my pound cakes I made before the holidays, my cinnamon chocolate swirl pound cake. I used baker's spray on that, and that was a huge mistake. Tap this to get off all the excess flour and just dump that into a bowl. So you don't want any of that extra flour in there because that will change the texture of your cake. This is a very thick batter, so it's not really something you can just pour in there. This makes such a delicious pound cake. And this actually is my birthday cake. So just bounce that around. This goes into a 350-degree oven on the middle rack for between 60 and 80 minutes. This cake has been in for 60 couple minutes, and it's starting to crack just a little on the top like a pound cake normally does. And you see that it's pulling away from the sides. I think this is done. So I'm going to go ahead right in one of those cracks and go into the center of this cake with a skewer, a wooden skewer. You want that skewer to be just a little wet with just a few crumbs. This cake is done. Our pound cake cooled in the pan for 15 minutes. I'm going to turn it out onto a cooling rack, and we'll let this completely cool. So look at the bottom of this cake and the sides. That just turned out beautifully. Now I've made 2 cakes. So I've made a plain lemon pound cake and I've made a lemon coconut pound cake. You could also add blueberries to your bag. Add some fresh blueberries, about 1 cup. I don't suggest using the frozen berries because they have a tendency to leak their color and that discolors the dough, and you won't have that pretty definition between the blue blueberries and the yellow lemony dough. So let's ice one of these cakes. Now I love to put a confectioner's sugar glaze on my lemon pound cake, and I'm going to add some milk to this and make it into a creamier, thicker glaze. Icing, you need 1 cup of sifted confectioner's sugar. We add 1.5 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. I go ahead and stir this and make a thick paste out of this before I add some milk. And I always say it's easier to thin a thick paste than to thicken a thin paste. So I always add a little bit of liquid at the time. And let's add 1 tablespoon of half and half or heavy whipping cream. If you don't want a thick creamy glaze, just keep adding lemon juice until you get the consistency you want. Drizzle this over if you want with a spoon like so. I always place this on my cooling rack and place that in a jelly roll pan or a cookie sheet to catch the glaze. I'm going to cover this pretty good. I love using glazes. They're so easy. So this is pretty much an iced pound cake at this point. If you want to spread it over the entire cake, like so. So just, you know, be creative. You could sprinkle some toasted coconut on here. You could sprinkle some lemon zest on here. It's moist, buttery, and everything you want in a lemon pound cake.